Meet Me in London. Book by Georgia Toffolo. Chapter 14. Her first text came during a meeting with his father's cardiologist. Oliver had to ignore it, but it was the first time he'd ever been distracted from something this important by a woman. First time he'd ever wanted to hear someone's voice so badly it was to the detriment of everything else, too. But he figured she'd understand if he later explained why he couldn't reply right away. And here was the thing, it shouldn't matter what she thought, she was a temporary made-up girlfriend who was getting under his skin. But it did matter. She mattered. Their kisses mattered, more than he wanted to admit. He'd learned, from his parents and from being at boarding school, to keep his emotions in check, to keep a distance and not get entangled in feelings. He'd thought it was the right thing to do, the best course of action. To keep a clear head and get through life without being hurt or broken or distracted. But clearly he'd been very mistaken to avoid emotion at all cost. Because he didn't know how to handle the deluge of feelings he was faced with now, and that was affecting everything. He couldn't get her out of his head. The next text came as he was cajoling his father to eat something. She wanted to talk. He couldn't right now. He was torn, but not enough to make him walk away from his father's bedside. Although, if he didn't get a decent polite word out of his father soon, he'd be tempted to take 5 minutes outside for sanity's sake. But he'd promised his mother he'd stay until she got back from her errands, so that's what he was going to do. Come on, Dad. The doctor says you've got to eat something, or he'll have to keep you in here until you put more weight on. As his dad grumbled and shook his head, Oliver thought he'd try to appeal to his father's miserly tendencies. You know that every day in here costs money. Stop mollycoddling me, Oliver. It's bad enough having your mother doing it, but not you as well. It's like you're a nagging tag team. Why can't anyone understand that I'm just not hungry? The curmudgeonly man threw his spoon onto the grey tray, narrowly missing the stew and dumplings he was refusing to eat, even though he'd ordered them from the private hospital menu. Don't you have work to do? Of course. It's Russell and Company, there's always work to do. Then bugger off and do it. Leave me alone. Oliver bit back a smile. He'd almost preferred it when his dad was too sick to shout orders because he was managing to get his job done without interference, but he liked it more that Eric was getting some of his fighting spirit back. Don't worry. I'm not staying here all day. I'm heading to Paris this afternoon for a meeting with the accountants. His father perked up at the mention of business. Seemed that was all that had ever given him a purpose in his life. Tell Pierre not to accept the offer from Galleries Lafayette. Russell and Company is not for sale. He knows. He's been batting them back for 5 years. And tell him. I'll tell him you said to sell the lot. You wouldn't dare. His old man stared up at him through red, watery eyes. He'd lost so much weight he was barely recognizable. He was a shadow of his formidable former self, and Oliver missed it, missed his old dad. The one who'd taught him how to fight in a boardroom, how to remain steely calm under pressure, how to never give up on a deal you believed in. The one who'd taught him to always steer with your head, not your heart. Bloody heart failure. Oliver hadn't really thought about it before, but his father's heart had a huge capacity for loyalty and trust, and Ollie never wanted to jeopardize that. Was he doing his parents a disservice with this make-believe relationship? Victoria was becoming important to them all, if his parents' endless questions about her were anything to go by. What had started as a bit of fun to get his mother off his back was getting out of hand. But who knew? Maybe Victoria might be around for a while longer. He thought about the way she'd moaned at his touch, the way she'd tasted, and the way she made him hard and hopeful at the same time. Maybe he could convince her to stay around past the deadline they'd agreed on. His father coughed and readjusted the nasal cannula that pumped oxygen into his lungs. Oliver, we need to talk about the Madrid contract. I've been thinking. Eric pushed the tray table away from his bed as if it was somehow offensive. This food is terrible. You need to eat. When it came to his father, Oliver had learned to use stealth tactics. While his father grumbled and muttered and looked out of the window, Oliver surreptitiously pushed the tray table back over the bed. Inch by slow inch. Thing is, Dad, you're not coming to the meetings, so I don't have to listen to a word you say. The unwritten message was there in the congealed gravy and two unappetizing lumps of stodge. He had to eat it to get strong again, then and only then could they talk business. For a few minutes there was a Russell standoff. Two alpha males staring each other down, neither of them willing to give in. The old guard versus the new. The parent versus the child. The mentor and mentee. At what point had the baton been handed over? Oliver was not going to give in. His father was going to put on weight, he was going to get better. Or as well as he could. Eventually, his father tore his eyes away from his son, picked up the spoon and started to eat. Alpha place relinquished. For now. Oliver felt a pang of discomfort. But sometimes tough love worked. God knew, his father had used it with him often enough. Eric took a second mouthful of food, forced himself to chew. Swallowed. I'll make damned sure to be at the next meeting and you'll damned well listen to my advice. Excellent, we're finally making progress. The next scheduled Paris meeting after today isn't until next year, and you will be more than welcome to come if the docs say you're fit enough to travel. But if you put on a few more kilograms in the next few days, we can talk about you coming with me to the lawyers next Tuesday for the sign-off on Madrid. And, of course, there's the opening. You have to be strong enough for that, right? I'll be there. Eric looked as if he was eating a lemon, but he was eating. That was something. Sounds like you're far too busy to be wasting time. Here, Oliver. You'd better go to the office and do some damned work. And with that, Oliver was summarily dismissed. He could wait outside until his mother came back. Okay. I'll come back tomorrow and let you know how Paris went. Oliver patted his father's shoulder, reeling from the fact that the parent-child roles had reversed, aware that he had to still allow his dad to be the father if not the boss, and wishing he could do something to make Eric as strong physically as he was mentally. Watching him fade to nothing was too damned hard. Once outside in the fresh air, he called Victoria. You okay? You texted twice. Sorry, I was busy with my dad. I hope he's okay. He's getting there. Good. Look, we need to talk. She sounded distant and tense. His heart kicked hard. Had something happened? Unease snaked through his gut. Sure. What is it? I mean, in person. Okay. He chose not to push her for more because, evidently, she needed time to explain. He would have cleared his diary for her if it wasn't for the Paris meeting. That was long overdue and time critical. Maybe he could delay it. I have some meetings later that I can't get out of. What are your plans? I've just finished an early shift and I should be sewing. She sounded tired too. But my back hurts from bending over to peer at my stitches and my fingers are bruised with needle pricks, so I could do with a night off, to be honest. I think I deserve a break. But I have to pop out and get some more things from a haberdashery somewhere so I can finish my dresses tomorrow. An idea crystallized. Maybe. Give me a minute. Oliver Russell had a chauffeur. That was news. She'd been expecting his little open top and privacy, so this new turn of events made opening her heart to him and calling this whole thing off rather awkward. What she wanted to say didn't need an audience, especially not one employed by the powerful Russell family. But it could wait until they got to the restaurant or wherever it was he was taking her. She hadn't heard Oliver give instructions to the man in the hat in the driver's seat, so she had no idea where they were going, so when they pulled up outside Edmiston Heliport, her tension morphed into an adrenaline rush. Wow! Where are we going? It's a surprise. Oliver grinned. Forgot to ask, do you have photo ID with you? Driver's license okay? Somewhere out of the country then. Despite her misgivings, her heart did a little dance. A helicopter. Excellent. Right. Here we go. He tapped the back of the driver's seat. And the chauffeur nodded, turned off the engine and got out of the car and opened Oliver's door for him. This was wild. But, Oliver. Where? Oliver waved the man away with a thanks and a handshake, then opened Victoria's door. Your Majesty, your carriage awaits. Idiot. His and walked through the heliport doors. This was the stuff of daydreams. A freaking helicopter. Once inside, Oliver went to talk to the pilot and complete paperwork. Then he walked her out to the huge H sign painted on a platform that extended out over the river. He guided her into a sleek silver machine with 6 seats in the back. Plush cream leather, chrome fittings. There was a little armrest in between them. Flash. With the rotor blades going, it was difficult to hear anything the pilot and Oliver were saying to each other, but Oliver kissed her cheek and handed her what looked like souped-up headphones. Here's a headset and mic. Martin will talk you through all the safety stuff, but basically sit back and enjoy. So, she wasn't going to get a chance to talk to Oliver properly now either. It was going to have to wait a little longer. She pushed the guilt and the worry out of her head and listened to Martin, learning that they'd be flying at 2,000 feet. Flight time was 90 minutes. 90 minutes to where? Prague? Dublin? Paris? Her heart danced some more. Martin told her he would point out things of interest that, whoa, she looked out of the window, they were already airborne. Oh, wow. I didn't even notice we'd left the ground. It's disconcerting going straight up, right? No dramatic takeoff. Look. Out the window. Oliver was back to holding her hand again, and it was warm and strong and safe, and she didn't want to let go. She promised herself she'd hold it when she broke the news to him later that she was cutting their deal short. And when she did finally let go, it would be forever. For now she'd relish the heat and the promise as his thumb stroked lazily and very sexily over hers, stoking a need she was failing to ignore or subdue. She looked out of the window and tried to find her balance again. Below them, the architecture she'd come to love in the city she now called home shrank to miniatures. They followed the River Thames, a sparkling silver ribbon threading through London, out towards the south coast until there was nothing below them but sea. Once they'd left England behind, Oliver twisted in his seat to look at her. His eyes warm and kind. She could see the joy in his face as he watched her reaction to the flight. He pressed a kiss to her cheek. Are you okay? This is beyond exciting. And unbearably difficult. She liked him. Maybe even more than that. No. Her stomach tightened. She most certainly was not going to allow herself to fall that deeply, but he was everything she'd ever wanted. He pushed a lock of her hair back behind her ear. You wanted to talk to me about something? Not here. More ears listening. It can wait. How was your dad, really? Oliver grimaced. Grumpy. But that's probably a good thing. He's got a bit of spark back, but not enough. He's not eating properly and he's very weak with the new treatment. But the doctors are optimistic. Which is good. Because he still has a lot to hand over to me. Are you scared of taking control of everything? The family, the business, the legacy they were all so keen on preserving. No, he looked out of the window and swallowed. They were all about the stiff upper lip and not showing emotion. She'd never known a family so staunch. Was it really a weakness to admit to? Feelings. She couldn't live like that, but it wasn't her business and she was going to cut ties soon enough, so she let the subject slide. She squeezed his hand. Where are we going? You'll see. He let go of her hand, then lifted the armrest between them and pulled out a bottle of champagne and 2 glasses. Fancy a drink? Well, yes. Why the heck not? It's not every day you get to fly in a chopper and drink bubbles. She laughed. Oh, but it is for you. Don't worry, I made sure to pay the carbon offset for you. Smiling, he popped the cork, poured and then handed her a glass of champagne. She tipped her glass to his and met his gaze, the familiar tug of affection catching her off guard. As he looked at her, his lips curved into a wicked smile. Everything inside her heated at the thought of that mouth on hers. Of that mouth on her skin. Nerves ruffled, she dragged her gaze away. Didn't matter what she told herself, that dangerous spark of attraction was always there between them. The champagne bubbles tickled her throat and she sank back into the soft leather, running her hand over the armrest, trying to find her equilibrium. Again. This is amazing. He was still looking at her, his gaze still burning. Yes. It's probably just second nature to you. He shook his head. Every single time I step into one of these, I'm in awe of the technology that builds them and keeps them in the sky, and the fact that I get to use them to go to work. It's never routine. Look at it. Look out. Here. He pointed to the cloudless sky. So much space up here. She understood the sentiment. Up here she felt cocooned from everything. Channel ferries and boats were like children's toys dotted over a calm and vivid blue sea. It's like another world. He nodded. Respite for 90 minutes, away from work, from thinking. You get to breathe. And drink champagne. She giggled. It sounds like you need a holiday. Oliver Russell. He turned to her, suddenly serious. His gaze wandered her face, settled on her mouth. I don't need a holiday. I need. She put her glass down, mesmerized by his eyes and the desire there. Wiping all other thoughts from her brain. She didn't want to look anywhere but him, imagined kissing him again. Unable to resist touching him, she reached out and skimmed his jaw with her fingertips. Heat rushed through her, making her giddy. What, Ollie, what do you need? This. He tipped her face to his and slid his mouth over hers. She should have pulled away, should have told him then and there about her reservations, about his cousin's visit and his mother's dreams. Should have put her hand to his chest and pushed him away, but instead her fingers sank into the linen and she tugged him closer. He was addictive, this man. A drug to her senses that she didn't have the strength to fight. If this was going to be their last kiss, she was going to savor it, remember it, make it count. Bring it out later, in old age, play it over and over in her head. That amazing kiss at 2,000 feet with a handsome man who had a wonderful heart. Their last kiss. She couldn't bear to think about it not happening again. So, she allowed herself the realization of one of her dreams of being cared for, of being kissed, of being made to feel beautiful and wanted, even if only for now, and let herself sink into it. It started gently, an exploration as if they had endless time in this new, private world. He nibbled her bottom lip, playful at first, making her giggle and beg for more. But as the kiss deepened, it became a mashing of needs, a lifeline. He clasped her tight against him, kissed and kissed and kissed her, until her thoughts muddled and blurred and then coalesced into one thought. This man. Oliver Russell. She brushed her hand over his hair and looked deeply into his eyes. Falling just a little bit more for a man who said he needed her kisses to make him feel better. Tough day, huh? He pulled away, breathless. Thumbed her bottom lip. Not anymore. I've been thinking about doing that all day. All last night. You drive me crazy. She was starting to think she was going mad too. He lulled her with every action, every touch. Stole her thoughts with his kisses. He was bewitching. He was everything. And she was falling. Falling. She needed to save herself before she slipped completely under his spell and ended up hurting not just herself but. They'll have the things you need. I can get Claude to take you if you like. Claude. My PA in Paris. She spluttered the remains of her champagne. You have more than one. Pa. You mean you don't? He deadpanned genuine confusion. She laughed. I don't even have one. A girl can dream. A man can too. He kissed her again then. Hard and fast. I have an apartment here overlooking the river. I'm sure you'll love it. He was asking her to stay the night. The thump of reality slipped in between her ribs, but it was overtaken by the shimmer of excitement. He was asking her to stay. He wanted her in his bed, and she wanted to be there. And she was so bewitched by him that the first answer in her head was yes. Her body prickled in anticipation of a slow, sultry seduction, and she slipped her hand into his, closed her eyes and kissed him again. And again. And again. But the reality was still there. This was taking everything to another level. Falling deeper and deeper under his spell. She was getting tired of butts when he was so delicious and attentive and thoughtful. When he was offering her a chance of something she'd never experience again. Blurring her thoughts with his kisses until all she wanted was to feel him around her, inside her. She tucked her doubts away as he said, Paris was my first store and it's very special to me. I lived here for 2 years and I got to know it well. But if I'm completely honest, I have no idea where these shops are or whether they're any good. It's not like I've ever stepped foot in them. He gave a very Gallic shrug of his shoulders. Je suis désolé. The mere fact he was taking her to Paris for dinner was enough. But that he had spent time and consideration in researching stores she'd like made her chest fill with light and warmth. Don't worry, my superpower is having a fabric shop radar. I'll just love mooching through the streets and I'll find them and we'll be in absolute heaven until your meeting's finished. She needed to fit the birthday call in. Don't hurry, I'll be just fine. Oh, yes, I wouldn't want to interrupt your happy day. He tilted her chin up and pressed another kiss full on her mouth, making her heart stop and her limbs melt. Happy. More like ecstatic. Elated. That was what she felt like when she was with him. When he made gestures like this or even just when he held her hand. He wanted to make her happy, and that was the difference between him and any other man she'd ever met. By breaking this off she'd be purposefully putting a stop to this feeling inside her. She didn't even want to think about that. Later. Over dinner. Or tomorrow. She'd tell him then. The shop was only a couple of minutes around the corner from his office. And she found it as if she'd been magnetically drawn there. The window display was a riot of pinks and tweeds that made Victoria's stomach fizz in excitement. And it fizzed a zillion times more when the diminutive sales assistant whispered to her that they wove for Chanel. OMG. The designer she admired most in the world, she almost had to. She knew he wouldn't understand why she was so excited by them. He'd definitely understand her excitement. The birthday girl's face appeared on her tablet first and Victoria felt a wave of love. Hey. Happy birthday, gorgeous Marley. One by one her friends appeared on the tiny screen. Could this day get any better? She found a bench a few meters up from the shop and Saturday Marley, what do you have planned for the day? Tell me it involves sun, surf and, she was jokingly going to say sex, but Marley was notoriously quiet about her relationships. Like the rest of them, she hadn't forged anything lasting or meaningful with a guy since the accident, and they'd been too young to really commit before it. They'd all just focused on their own healing, stuck Together as such a tight unit they'd not let anyone else in. Victoria laughed. And sex on the beach? I mean the cocktail. Obviously. Of course. Nothing else entered my head. Apart from the fact that sand gets everywhere and can be exfoliating on sensitive parts. So I've heard. The birthday girl winked, beaming all the way from Hawaii. She looked so well with her glowing bronzed skin and bleached curls. Her Devon accent was tinged with the teeniest USA twang. It's so lovely to talk to you all. I've already done my most favorite thing today. You got it. Marley stretched out her arms as if she was doing a yoga. The screen. She tried to sound nonchalant instead of as excited as a child at Christmas. It's just a work thing. Yeah. Paris. What kind of wine bar work takes you to Paris? Oh, are you doing a tasting? Isn't it Beaujolais Nouveau season? Zoe's eyes were wide and bright, and Victoria felt a pang of wistfulness. It was so good to catch up with them even if she was keeping a little part of her life secret. She pushed away the guilt. This wasn't the time to go into details about him and their deal, especially as it was ending. How had life become so complicated that she was keeping secrets from her friends? But she needn't have worried, Zoe was still in full travel guide mode. Whereabouts are you? I know a fabulous place in the 18th arrondissement. They do the best confit in Paris. Locals only, no tourists. Filling it up and you won't find it in a guidebook. One of the great things about having a travel writer as a friend was that she always knew the best eating and drinking spots the locals frequented. Brilliant. Message me the name and I'll check it out. And then there's this gorgeous bistro in Montmartre. Give me a sec, I'll double check the name. Zoe disappeared from shot. Lily wasn't saying anything now. She just looked at the screen with an emotionless expression. And Victoria wondered what she was thinking. Please don't say anything. Please don't say anything, Victoria silently prayed. Then she felt bad about having asked her friend to keep her secret. It's just a day trip, you know. Next time I come over I'll get a list of recommendations from you, Zoe. Is there a sexy Frenchman in your future? Marley laughed, putting on the worst French accent ever. Hang on, I'll check. Victoria pretended to look around as if she'd lost one. Nope. Not a single one. Shame. A Frenchman in your stocking would have been a great Christmas present. But oh, by work, do you mean you have a design commission there or something? Please say yes. That would be brilliant. Marley was combing her fingers through her crazy curls to waft the water out. That and le sexy Frenchman would show sleazebag Peter. Victoria thought about the look on Peter's face when he'd seen the engagement ring. She'd thought she'd feel righteously smug, but actually, she didn't care. Not at all. Peter was in the past and she had zero feelings for him now. In fact, talking of sexy, a certain very English, very gorgeous man sprang to mind. A man who should be arriving anytime soon to whisk her to a fancy restaurant, to his apartment, to his bed. Her breath stalled at the thought. Anticipation fluttered through her. And nervousness too. She hadn't said yes. But she hadn't said no either. Truth was, she was so torn. And so turned on. Whenever she was with him she was incapable of rational thought. She looked around, hoping to see him, but he was obviously still caught up in his meeting. No sexy men around here. Yet. But I have just been into an amazing haberdashery that makes fabric for Chanel, which is Christmas come early. As far as I'm concerned. Another one to tick off her list of things Oliver had made happen. And I am having a runway show. Like, soon. I'll be able to come up for the afternoon, but I'm struggling to take the evening off work. It's mad busy here at the moment. Should I carpool with your parents? Lily finally said. Can't wait to cheer you on. They can't make it. They've already booked a trip to the German Christmas markets, but they're thrilled for me, Victoria said, then felt bad. Because her parents were the most supportive people she knew, but she couldn't say the same about her friends' families. Her friends. These 3 women on her screen were all smiling at her. Good fortune, but she wasn't being honest with them, and that hit her hard. They'd shared everything together, they'd fought for each other through very dark times. She couldn't have a conversation with her closest friends and not be totally honest about why she was here in Paris. She'd never forgive herself. And they'd probably never forgive her either. She took a deep breath and cleared her throat. Okay, listen. I've got something to tell you guys. Just don't judge me, okay? Before anyone says anything, I want you to know I have good reasons for doing what I'm doing. Victoria Scott, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I would never, ever judge you. But you're starting to worry me. The birthday girl's happy smile turned south. It's nothing bad. Well, no. It's nothing bad. Was it? Not bad, but definitely serious. She'd somehow become embroiled with Oliver and she didn't want to embroil herself. Victoria's eyes flicked to the little square with Lily's face in it. Her friend nodded encouragingly, and with a certain amount of relief, possibly that she wasn't now the only one carrying Victoria's secret. The thing is, I'm in Paris because I'm pretending to be Somion's fiancé. Be careful. Go you. Why didn't you tell us? Victoria wasn't sure exactly who said what, although she could probably guess. This guy being Oliver Russell, the billionaire boss at Russell & Company. Lily chipped in, making quote marks with her fingers. Because his father's sick and wants to see Oliver settled, so Victoria's obliging and making them happy. Right, V? It's for a good cause. Lily, you knew and didn't say anything? Marley asked incredulously. I'm sorry. I promised V I wouldn't, Lily said with an apologetic shrug. I thought we didn't keep secrets, Zoe said quietly, hurt evident in her expression. We don't. I am so sorry, you guys. Lily's right, though, it is for a good cause and that's part of the reason I asked her to keep it quiet. Thank you. Lils. Victoria knew how hard it had been for Lily not to say anything about this to their friends, and for that she was immensely grateful. God, she loved these women. No matter what, no matter how insane her ideas sounded, she knew they would always support her. He brought me to Paris in a helicopter for dinner and I'm having my show at his store. Zoe's eyes narrowed, the hurt still there, but Victoria could see her friend was trying to understand why she hadn't told them about her and Ollie's arrangement. And that made everything worse because they were all right. They didn't keep secrets. Ever. You swapped an acting role for a helicopter. Like your style. It sounds like one of those movies like The Wedding Date. Or The Proposal or something. Is he Ryan Reynolds hot too? Please say. Yes. He's more than that. And kind. And lovely. Victoria swallowed. A bit. I suppose. She felt Lily's gaze on her and the truth came tumbling out. Look, don't read anything into this, but I kissed him. Or rather, we kissed. More than once, in fact, so many times she'd lost count. Her words were met by a loud whoop. Go, you. Finally, one of us gets some action, Zoe said, but Victoria knew they were all scared of anything that went deeper than a little action, and that none of them had managed to hold down a serious relationship. Ever. She didn't know if that was related to the accident, but she thought it could be. They were all scarred and scared. In some way or other. There's no bed involved. And yes, he kisses well, but it doesn't mean anything. Liar. More silence. Somebody say something. I am genuinely in awe. But Zoe's mouth twisted a little and her voice softened. Just be careful, okay? I've seen the way those movies end and it's all great in make-believe and I really hope it all turns out well, but They all knew that reality was harsh and didn't always come with a guaranteed happy ending. They knew that better than most people. Just be careful. Please. I will. I'm fine. But thank you. Lily smiled too. It is a bit crazy, but you know that whatever happens, we're here for you. But it could work out, right? We need regular updates, okay? KISSI. NG, Victoria and Oliver sitting in of Marley's excited grin fell at Victoria's warning but half-joking stare. Okay. Pretend. Right. Got it. But if anything happens, I mean you never know, right? I want the lowdown in a lost hours call, okay? And, if he's seriously a billionaire, can you get him to fly you over here? I wish. Our deal's only for a few more days, so I'm enjoying the high life while I can. A helicopter. Champagne. Victoria knew she'd like Oliver if he had a bicycle and a bottle of fizzy water. It wasn't the trappings of wealth that attracted her. It was him. It was him. And for the millionth time she just wished she could be telling her friends it was real. But Lily, always softer, quieter than the others, just nodded. We love you, V. If you think it's the right thing to do, then go for it. Marley stuck her thumbs up. Got your back, okay? Thanks, guys. It was past 7 now and she wondered where Oliver had got to. She turned and scanned the dark street. There, in the distance, was a figure, huddled against the icy wind, walking towards her. As he got closer she realized his face was ashen. The easygoing manner from before had been replaced with a stern expression. Her heart went into free fall. What had happened? She looked back at her friends. Hey, squad, he's coming back. I've got to go. At least turn the camera round so we can see him, Marley shouted. No way. Have the best day, Marley. Don't go yet. We need more details, a chorus of voices chimed as she slipped the tablet into her bag and ran to Oliver, feeling relieved and supported and loved by her friends. She'd call them later and explain more. She grasped his arm and leaned in to kiss him, as if kissing this man in the street was the most normal thing to do. But she just couldn't help herself. And he looked like he needed it. Hey, what's the matter? Did you give yourself the sack? He shook his head. I need to go back to London. Now. The helicopter's on standby. I'm sorry about tonight. We can grab something to eat back in London. I'm not hungry. Her appetite had taken a dive the minute she'd seen his grim expression. What is it? What's the matter? My dad's taken a turn. Mum called and asked me to go back immediately, and I know she fusses, but even she wouldn't do that if it wasn't necessary. She understood the subtext. Eric was already sick and receiving revolutionary new therapy. Something had gone wrong. I'm so sorry, Ollie. We'll go straight back. She rubbed her hand up and down his shoulder. He turned away. She tugged him back to face her. I don't want any of that Russell stiff upper lip stuff. Come here. I'm fine. You are not. I imagine you're scared. You're hurting, and that's okay. Oliver Russell. You are allowed to be human. She spread her arms and waited, all thoughts of what she'd been planning to say to him forced to the recesses of her mind. She couldn't do that to him today when both he and his mother needed her support. She'd do it tomorrow, or once things had settled down a bit. Another time. Right now, she was going to be the friend he needed her to be. The friend she'd be to Lily and Marley and Zoe if they were going through this. You don't have to carry this by yourself. I'm here for you. He just looked as if she'd handed him a lifeline and he didn't know what to do with it. There's not enough time. Maybe there wasn't, and he'd have to deal with that too. But she wanted him to know he didn't have to do any of it alone. She wrapped her arms around him, spanning the ribbons of muscles and tendons that were primed and tense. It felt as if every cell in his body was tight. This was Oliver in self-preservation mode. She needed him to know that he wasn't alone. He didn't need to carry this all himself. She kissed him gently. "I'm here, I'm here, I'm here." She clung on and held tight.